Good morning. Has anyone heard of Eros? For the Greeks, Eros was the son of Aphrodite. For the Romans, it was Cupid. The counterpart was Cupid and son of Venus. And they represented lust, they represented attraction, they represented sensuality, sex, lust. It represented all of that. It was Eros or Cupid. Quote unquote represented love. The infatuated, toxic love, the butterflies, it represented that. The temporary insanity that we go through when we are, quote unquote, in love, in which we abandon all logic and reason and just follow the butterflies. And that's Cupid. That's Eros for those pagan religions. But for the Platonists, Eros was nothing like that. Eros was not the son or the cousin of anybody. Eros is when likeness seeks likeness. Yes, we seek likeness in the eyes of others. We seek likeness, regardless of your forms, i.e., the tone of your skin or appearance or whatever, or even gender. We seek likeness in the eyes of others. In the spirit of others, we seek likeness, and that's Eros, regardless of forms, feelings, perceptions. Yeah, and it's this seek for likeness that gives birth to the next generation. Yes, that's Eros for the Platonists. Around puberty, people get into Eros, right? A lot. They seek likeness. They seek a partner. They seek love. They seek because we want what? Sex. Yes, it's a bodily function, and it manifests at a certain age, and it's totally normal. And in the past, families used to get their children, hook up to as early as possible because everybody wants sex, and what is life without sex? And they would get them together as early as possible. They would get them married. Yes, because as early as possible is the best. You peer bond a lot easier, and you keep that partner to the end of your life. There's a chemical connection that is formed, biochemical connection, and Eros seeks likeness, and they get, they get as one, seeking unity. Eros seeking unity, and two people become one. That's likeness, seeking likeness. They are one, and they become one, and they stay one until there's a breakup of the forms. There's a breakup of the flesh when your body dies, and as early as possible that biochemical bond is created, and of course lots of sex results in children and families, i.e. families. That was the model used until not so long ago, until the sexual revolution in the 60s, right? That was the model. People would hook up as early as possible and start a family, and that's how it is. And they stayed together until death, did them apart. That was the model, and they had, big families, small families, big families, depending. And that's how the population renew itself, and that's how the population stay. That's how culture, stayed, and identity, and likeness seeks likeness. So anyway, until the 60s, that was the model, and there was this revolution in tandem with feminism and etc., which are highly Marxism. Marxism plays with your identity, plays with your um, it's an identity but mixture with politics, which is very horrible because politics ultimately seeks power over people and trying to mess up people's identity, and what we call Marxism and identity politics, started convincing people, and meddling in people's affairs. Ultimately, they hate family, they hate family, and they work very hard to pull family apart. Why do they do it? There are many reasons. They are possessed by demons, or are demons themselves, and they just don't understand family. And ultimately, what Marxism seeks is that when women have children, they put the children in the care of strangers, and that's it. There's no family for them, or in the care of the state. You know, expressions like birthing person and stuff like that just starts emerging. This is Marxism. It's weird. It's unhuman. You know, it's alien. It's demonic. Mental illness. It started infiltrating and co-opting movements like feminist movement, etc. And they came up with the help of eugenicists. They came up with this tactic of controlling the births, controlling births, controlling family, and they started, selling that idea that nowadays everybody, women, start early as possible taking these castration, drugs, and they say no to raising children, and because everybody wants to have sex, and the model was to get a family and raise your children. Now you can have sex without a family, without a consequence or a side effect of having a family. Now you can have sex non-stop, right, without getting pregnant. And even if you get pregnant, if the castration drug fails, there's a safety valve, which is a procedure in which they suck, like in a vacuum, they suck the fetus out. Those are all birth. Uh, those are all what's the expression? Methods of birth control. Um, so now you don't need to get married. Now you don't need to get with a partner. Now you don't need to, because of all those options. You can have sex all night with complete strangers, and you don't get pregnant. And if you do, there's a safety valve, and and that is what's causing the death of the West. Its demographics. Uh, no one seems to care. No one seems to notice. Everybody's just busy living their lives to the fullest, with all of the objects and the manipulation over the objects, and the technocracy that manipulates every detail. This strange, obsession of controlling every detail of everything. It's a highly materialistic obsession, you see, and they absolutely hate surprises. They hate the unknown. They hate the spontaneous. They hate all of those things, the surprises, the creativity. They hate everything that can't be held in their hands and controlled. You see, they are the types who plan their vacations to the smallest detail. And they love to go on vacations, and everything goes exactly as they planned. That's their obsession. They are not the types who, I'm going to throw away my plastic, credit cards and everything, and with a backpack, I'm going to, on vacations and let, let fate decide. No, they're not those types. That's adventure. That's uncertainty. That's um, in the past it used to be like that actually. When someone went on a trip, oh, I'm going on a trip. Anything could happen. Anything. And that would this this uncertainty would actually give birth to incredible things that wouldn't have come otherwise. You know, the uncertainty, the surprise, the but if you control and manipulate everything, every event, chances are you won't meet that person. You won't read that text. You won't, have that moment of inspiration. If everything is controlled to the millimeter, everything is predictable, and there's no surprise, there's no creativity, there's nothing there. And that is really, really unfortunate. Yeah. When there's an ATM in every corner of the world right now, it just traveling becomes pointless. It's pointless. As a tourist, anyway, it becomes pointless. No surprise, no adventure. Everything's pre-planned and pre this, pre that. Everything is pre-thought and pre-digested. Even your food, everything is pre. There's no surprise in that. That is absolute control over the small microtransaction, every small detail of everybody's lives. And it's quite horrible and mediocre. There's no room for creativity, spontaneity. There's no room for adventure, for surprises. There's no room for anything. And that's the world that they love, and that's the how the world is actually, at least this civilization, is going to collapse because there's no people getting born. There's no demographics. They wish to save the situation with migration and turning everything into the next caliphate, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because this castration, drug is everywhere in the world. Everywhere. Everybody's using it. If laws are passed, let's forbid the selling of this drug, it will become even worse. If you forbid something, it will become even more coveted. You know, the black market will explode. So the cat is out of the bag, and it's only out of your own pure will that saying no to the castration thing. It's not money. It's not, it's not new regulations. It's not forbidding it. That's going to put an end to it. It has to come from the heart. It's a decision that you take, and you decide to embrace the uncertainty of the world. Who cares if you have one, two, three, five children? It's uncertain. Yeah. But if you start, controlling your birth, you might have none. You might have zero. That's obsessive compulsive behavior, and controlling those things. And obsessive compulsive behavior, I've heard, is registered as a mental illness. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard it. It happens to a lot of people. Oh, I'm going to freeze my eggs and this and that, and they make plans and they control and manipulate everything. Chances are they will never ever become parents. You have to leave it to fate. You have to leave it to Eros. You have to leave it to the gods. Yeah? Likeness seeks likeness. And it will happen exactly as it should. And if you want to control and manipulate those things, the more you try to squeeze them to control, the more it will pass through your fingers. These things are not meant to be controlled or manipulated. How many, how many scientists, how many writers, how many, people, how many beautiful minds was actually blocked from entering this world. The world would have become something else entirely. In these past 60 years, how many was kept away from manifesting in this world? How many? Just because of this obsession of controlling everything, controlling the birth, controlling the weather, controlling, time. They want to control everything. No, that's what's beautiful about this world. It's the uncertainty, the surprise, spontaneity, But they don't like that. They want to control everything to the small detail. Bureaucracy, more bureaucracy, more bureaucracy, more technocracy. Technology will help them reach that point where everything is controlled and manipulated. It's an obsession. And the more they try, the more they focus, the closer the destruction of civilization as we know it comes to be. Because what keeps civilization going is demographics. It's demographics. The whole world that is, you know, there's few places who don't use castration drugs or rubbers or whatever you call them. They don't use them. And there's, private corporations and interests focused only on that. Here's more rubbers. Here's more needlecraft. Take it. What's this obsession? It's crazy. Sometimes I wonder if Rudolf Steiner, which I don't personally like, he said something. They will try to come up with a needlecraft that wants to block the soul from the body. They want to block Eros. They want to block it because it represents spontaneity, surprise. It represents the unknown, and they just don't like it. You know, if they could turn everybody, into a mouth breather, if they could put everybody, under the spectrum, they would. They want to turn everybody into a bot, to a meat golem. Block the mind, block the soul, block the spirit. Ultimately, they are afraid of the unknown. That's one of the primordial fears. The fear of death, the fear of the future, the fear of the unknown, fear of future, the fear of losing. They are fearful of the future, fearful of the unknown. In their paradigm, it can't exist. Otherwise, all their calculations just collapse. These are the types who are obsessed with numbers and calculations, and anything that is outside doesn't exist. It can't exist because they can't control it. Anyway, it's a beautiful day here. It's a beautiful Sunday. Have a nice day.